In my last video, I jumped into gouache painting for the first time. There was some success and some horror. I'm back at it again today, starting with some observations of my own hand. As this is my training arc, I'm not working on super creative original works right now. I'm studying anatomy, poses, lighting, color, etc. And I'm doing all that while just figuring out how gouache even works. The main event of today's training is a full body pose study. Here is my reference picture, and I am hopping straight in. No pencil sketch beforehand. I'm sketching in gouache because I'm not here to play it safe. I'm pushing myself because this medium is very counterintuitive to me. And that's because with gouache, you are not required to work from light to dark. Any other medium I'm accustomed to using, with the exception of acrylic paint, you have to work from light to dark. Markers, color pencil, watercolor. The fact that I'm free to not work from light to dark has me very confused about when I should be introducing different shades. You can see the outcome of that confusion on this other pose study I did yesterday. There's no steady build of light to dark or dark to light. Both highlights and shadows are sitting on top of the base skin tone. My method here is to use guidelines to capture the basic motion of the figure, and then I fill in the entire figure with that same base color, which I will then render. This is actually the exact same method I use when doing figure drawings in marker. I draw the gesture with a light marker, fill in the shape with the original marker, give it volume, and then I use darker markers to actually render out the light and shadow. I filled in the background with the same base color, a little more diluted, a little lighter. And this is so that when the rendered painting is done, you won't even be able to detect the original sketch. It will blend in with the background, even if I make modifications to the pose or the outline of the face, for instance, which is what I'm outlining now. I'm trying to make the face and hair more precise because they are the smallest details in the painting, and if they look terrible, it can make the whole painting look terrible. Likewise, I need to get the volume of the arm right, so I'm filling in the shirt around the arm until it's the correct volume. I gave the pants a light blue base coat and the socks a green base coat, and now I'm going back in on the shirt with some shadows. Take a look at the reference picture and see all those little shadows. Then I add another layer of much darker blue to the pants. And actually, this dark blue is going to be the highlight of the pants, because I'm going to go back in with an even darker shadow. I feel like in the reference picture, the arms are much lighter than the clothes, so I'm going in with a peachy white glaze to brighten up the entire arm. Like I already said, putting light colors on top of dark colors is very counterintuitive to me, but I'm going for it and praying it works out. Now I'll add some darker shadows to the shirt and the pants. I would say in this reference picture that the face, the backpack, and the shoes are the three spots that contain the most detail. So rendering out this backpack I think is actually going to add a lot of much needed interest to the painting. I start with the blackish shadows on the backpack. I start with the blackish shadows on the backpack and black outlines of various straps. And I'll go back in with a mid-tone gray to kind of transition between the darkest shadows and the lightest highlights on the backpack. Now, this detail work is actually making my day. This was so satisfying. Add hem to these pants. Add some highlights and shadows to the left hand. And now it's time for the highest stakes part, painting the face. I'm using a tiny little paintbrush to add white highlights to the eye, nose, chin, upper lip, and even the tip of the ear. Then I'm outlining those same parts of the face with a dark brown. And finally, I can get to work on the hair. I'll use black for the shadows and throw a range of purpley reddish browns, mixed with just a touch of white to make them opaque and make them stand out against the black. You can see if you look closely that I changed the angle of the head from the original sketch. I turned it a little more upwards. But I think the original sketch kind of blends into the background nicely now that everything is rendered out. Now, finally, she can't leave the house in socks. She needs some shoes. I really struggled with these because my white paint wasn't wet enough to really come off the brush. But I was afraid of hydrating it and making it so wet that it was no longer opaque. So yeah, the shoes were tedious. I do think the green socks and white shoes kind of brighten up the figure a lot. I think they're nice. Last of all, even though I love this painting, I loved it so much more than the painting from last night. I feel like this sketchbook spread is so barren and boring. 2 figures on a white background is not a feast for the eyes, so I decided to try incorporating a little landscape painting on the side, which I kind of regretted because it turned out ugly as shit, at least for my taste. But like I said, this is my training arc, so I'm probably going to be making a lot of ugly paintings for the next few months with some gems here and there. If you like painting videos, subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.